Looks like I'm live and in effect. What's up, people? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I know it's been a couple of days. It was my birthday. So I definitely had to take that time to relax, to enjoy, and all of those other things that come along with the birthdays. You did. All right. So I do believe the last episode before this one was entity structures. We just talked about the most familiar names in American businesses like Google, Apple, Microsoft, McDonald's, etc. And we just kind of discussed how, um, they're typically not the names of businesses nor the names of entities, but are trademarks. So we kind of went through that in that last episode. But this one right here, this is gonna be a banger. This limited liability, this should probably be one of the most watched, end up being one of the most premiere episodes out of everything I ever put out because I'm about to go over some information that's going to be very shocking to a lot of people. All right. A lot of people really, really do feel like because they have an LLC, that they have limited liability, that they have asset protection, and all of those things. And that's just absolutely false because most people leave their LLCs in the default status, right? Most of y'all do. Most people leave them in the default status. You go, you file your LLC with the Secretary of State, and that's it. Even those, you get your EIN, and then even those that get a little business credit or whatever, and do it the right way, you still leave your LLC in its default status. And the how you know that is if you're paying everything from your business on your personal taxes. If it's passing through, if your LLC is still a pass-through entity, and everything that your business make, you pay it on your personal taxes, you have no protection. You're absolutely not protected. And I'm going to prove it to you um, through the IRS. So we're going to go through, I'm trying to see, typically they'll have the what this document is that I'm reading or what this publication is. I don't see it, but I'm going to just start from the top. All right. This is from the IRS, limited liability company. A limited liability company is a business structure allowed by state statute. Each state may use different regulations. You should check with your state if you're interested in starting a limited liability company. Owners of an LLC are called members. Most states do not restrict ownership, so members may include individuals, corporations, other LLCs, and foreign entities. There's no maximum number of members. Most states also permit single member LLCs, those having only one owner. A few types of businesses generally cannot be LLCs, like banks, insurance companies, etc. All right. Now, this part is really going to dive more into what I'm talking about. So, the classification of your LLC. Depending on elections made by the LLC and the number of members, your LLC is going to be treated as either a corporation, partnership, or part of the LLC owner's tax return, a disregarded entity. Now, what is a disregarded entity? A disregarded entity, or well, let me back up. LLCs with only one member is treated as a disregarded entity as separate from its owner. Okay? What does that mean? A disregarded entity as separate from its owner. Okay, so separate from its owner, we know we can define that. But what is a disregarded entity as separate from its owner? So that means that your entity is not separate from you. It's not regarded as being separate from its owner. It's disregarded as being separate from its owner. So that means that it's one and the same. It is you. So how can you have any type of limited liability, any type of asset protection through your business when your business is set up and operating as you. So if you're paying taxes on a 1040 on your personal income tax return from your business income as well as your personal income, then your LLC is the same as you. It's simply a sole proprietorship. There is no asset protection. None of that limited liability stuff apply. And you could bring any lawyer, tax lawyer, business lawyer, criminal lawyer to contest what I'm saying. I just read it to you straight from the IRS. All right, there are special things that you have to do in order to set your LLC up as separate from you, where it is paying its own taxes. If your company is not the taxpayer, then it's not separate from you. Just like two people, just like two human flesh and blood beings, they're separate. There's no way that I could be responsible for something that you do because you have a totally different social security number, different bank account. You run your things different from me. There's no way that you could put what you do onto me, period. And it's the same way with you and with your company. And that's how it's supposed to be set up. Your company is supposed to be set up, operated, and managed totally separate from you, as well as being the taxpayer. That is the only way that you're going to have any type of limited liability. Now, let's dive into this limited liability thing from a legal perspective. All right. Limited liability is the characteristic of most entity types. If an entity has limited liability, investors in an entity of the type are not liable for the entity's obligations in their capacities as investors. Let's break that down. You're the investor. If you set up an LLC and you operate and manage it as a C corporation, you are the investor. So investors in an entity of the type are not liable for the entity's obligations in their capacities as investors. To illustrate, assume that Erica owns all of the shares of Entity, and Entity hires Tony to drive a truck. Tony drives negligently and injures a third party, Charles. All right. All right. So Tony is not liable to Charles. All right. So Tony, wow.